It's Social Pulse Weekly, brought to you by Agora Pulse. With special guest, Jeff Sieh. Discussing this week's hottest topics and latest developments in social media marketing. With your host, Jennifer Watson. Here's Social Pulse Weekly.
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. And woohoo! Jeff is right here. Welcome to the show, Jeff. Usually you don't pop on, but you're here and joining with us. And you've got like your epic mustache and beard.
I'm trying. Yeah. I want to look good.
Yeah. I know. So you guys, welcome to Social Pulse Weekly, your all-in-one social media show where we have an expert interview. We talk about the latest news, have a little fun trivia, and we're just kind of a fun way to end your week and get you pumped for the week ahead and even for the weekend, because why not? Right, Jeff?
Right, exactly.
I know, exactly. So I am Jennifer Watson. I'm the social media manager at Agora Pulse. We have our amazing guest, Jeff, there with us as well. And we also have our show sponsor, Dustin Stout. And he is incredible and amazing, a big name in the space. And he is going to be communicating with us and talking to us in the comments. And so while I'm interviewing Jeff, he'll also be having a little fun commentary as well, so you can interact with him. But this is a two-way conversation. We want you guys to remember that. So this is your opportunity to ask Jeff anything you want. So give you a little background. I saw Jeff speak. I've known Jeff for a really long time. We're like best friends. I hope so anyway, Jeff.
We are.
You can correct me, but I saw him at Digital First last month. And he was amazing. He spoke about all different kinds of tools, apps, and the process of designing really amazing kind of movies and visual content if you're a non-designer. And you should have seen people in the room. They were constantly taking photos. I even took some photos of his slides because he came up with tools that I hadn't even heard of. And so I figured as we're entering the holiday season, we're getting prepped and ready for 2020. It was an amazing opportunity to actually bring him on the show. So hopefully you guys have a notebook ready or can take some snapshots of our live, some screenshots, because he's going to be talking about a lot of amazing things. Now, a little background about Jeff. He is an international speaker. He's kind of a big deal. And he was just on a live show before this. So we're really lucky that he joined us today. He's a visual marketing consultant specializing in Pinterest, Instagram, and video. He is also the head beard at Manly Pinterest Tips, where he is the creator and the host of the Manly Pinterest Tips show. Jeff has worked with and produced visual content for various companies, including Social Media Examiner, Tailwind, Kim Garst, and so many more. And he's an amazing talent. So Jeff, come back onto the show, will you? Welcome.
Hey, well, that's a great introduction. Thank you. I think that intro, I think that was the same conference we were speaking at on the stage there. So that was pretty cool to see. So I'm excited to be here. It's awesome.
Yeah. And so Jeff is like a little comedian as well. So when he was speaking on stage, like his jokes, I mean, they just dropped perfectly. Everybody laughed. You're just like, can I be Jeff in real life?
No, too much grooming has to happen on the face.
I know.
Most people can't handle that. Yeah.
How long have you had your mustache and beard? We're going to talk about that quick.
Oh, so it's a funny story and Mike knows this. It actually started because he was one of the original Manly Pinterest Tips. We started a show on Google Plus, and I decided to make it my personal brand. I said, well, I'll try growing a beard for this thing. And if it doesn't work, I'll shave it off. And that was like, 5 years ago. So yeah, there's been some trimming and stuff, but this is it. Yeah. So,
well, it looks amazing. Like seriously, that's an epic beard.
Well, thank you.
And anybody that's trying to grow a beard is, I'm sure, very jealous of you. And let us know if you're joining us here on this Friday. Thank you so much for taking time out of your workday. Let us know who you are, what you do, and just say hi. And if you have questions for Jeff, let us know. We're going to talk about a lot of fun, different tools. And so I'm excited for us to kind of like share and talk about them together. But first of all, Jeff, how has your Friday been? How has your week been?
It's been great. So I've been live Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, sometimes twice a day. So it's live video is a big part of now what I do. So I just got off. I've started since somebody left to go to Agora Pulse. I started taking over his duties in the Social Media Examiner Friday show. So that's always fun. Jen Cole was on there with us, who was with us at our last conference we were at, and she was there as my co-host, and so it was a lot of fun. So that's where I just was, and I'm excited to be on this show. I love that you are doing this weekly show. So big fan.
Good. I love that. So, first of all, Jeff, I want to know, how did you get into the social media industry? What inspired you? I would love to know a little bit of your background.
Desperately needing money. No, I don't know if that was it or not. It was
I think
actually,
that's all of us. All of us need a little money.
so I think it was like 2002. I had done this little digital agency back in the day. I was making a lot of websites. If you remember the Flash websites, yeah, I did those. So that's what I started in. And then I started like these social networks started coming around, and I like, well, I'm telling my clients to be on these, so I probably need to be on them as well. So I started doing that, and I got involved in Google Plus and kind of got in back into, yeah, I know Google Plus. And our friend Dustin Stout, who's sponsoring the show, that's where he and I met, actually. He was on there, and we spent a lot of time doing shows and stuff. And also the Godfather here, Mike Alton, he was there as well. And so anyway, I wrote a blog, and I was trying to break out and do some stuff. And I heard this thing about this lady who was actually on Social Media Marketing, their podcast, talking all about Pinterest, and her name was Cynthia Sanchez. And I'm like, huh. So I started using Pinterest. I wrote a blog article, and this pin really was driving a lot of traffic. And it was like, mainly Pinterest tips, #1, how to create a secret board with your daughter. And it did really well. And so I thought, well, this Pinterest thing's working. And so then and that was when Google Hangout shows were really popular. And I got this, someone said, well, you ought to do a mainly Pinterest tip show. And I was like, okay. And I got like 5 other guys who actually had way bigger followings than I did. In fact, the Godfather, Mike Alton, was one of them. And we did this show every week called the Manly Pinterest Tip Show. And we got to interview people like Guy Kawasaki, the producer of Pretty Woman. I mean, all these cool people that this show opened up that we could do. And then after a while, I launched it as a podcast, and started did a solo kind of thing. And that led to me being on Michael Stelzner's social media marketing podcast, where he interviewed me. Well, then he had me do his visual summit, and then he asked me to speak at Social Media Marketing World. So I've been speaking there. I think this is my 4th or 5th year. And then actually they got me my gig at Social Media Examiner, running his Pinterest stuff, and then now doing a lot of the live show and Instagram. I do that with Jen Cole. She's awesome over there. And so that's how it all started, with a little thing called Pinterest and Google Plus.
Oh my God, I love that. Wow, Jeff, you have an amazing history. I love that. And thank you so much. We've got Abby McNair with us. Abby, let us know if you can hear us. Oh yeah, Eric Fisher said it's good on his end. Perfect. Awesome.
Eric.
Yeah, we have our actually social media lab expert here at Agora Pulse joining us. Scott, what's going on? So yes, thank you everyone for joining us, and let us know, what your biggest accomplishment was for the week, what fun, exciting things that marketing wise that you're doing for the holidays. And Jeff, I want to get right to it. So you're at Social Media Examiner. What is your role there? Like, what is a typical weekday like for you there?
Well, it's changed. So I was doing, I did a lot of Pinterest, and then I do all the Instagram photos and take care of that. Jen Cole now writes all the captions, and now I've started to be the host of the Friday show, their show and podcast that they do on Fridays. Actually, right before this, I had to just trot over here really fast to get all connected. So yeah, it was fun. So that's what I do. And I also do a lot of stuff with Kim Garst. I run her show on Wednesday when she does hers. And Thursday I do the Tailwind show and help host and run that as well. So yeah, so I do a lot of live video stuff, as well as all the other Pinterest clients and things like that. So, and Social Media Examiner, it's mostly now doing the live show, and we're working on some other things that we're going to do some live interviews of people as we get closer to the conference.
Well, that's awesome. So you are kind of the godfather of creating amazing, powerful visual content. I know you guys do a lot of really cool things at SME. I want to know what brands that you think are doing a really good job and have really thumb-stopping, powerful content that you're just like, wow, like I need to start creating some content like this, or more people need to start doing that.
So I think you hit on something really important. And I always talk about stopping the scroll. How do you get people to stop the scroll? And I think that's really important. And it's really different on on different platforms. And so I really like things that make me stop. And it's mostly always visual content that gets me either to dive deeper into content or a blog article. You know, Mike Alton writes some great stuff. Agora Pulse, their shows and everything make me stop and want to go look at those. Dustin Stout does great things on his brand. I followed him for a long time. Rebecca Radice is awesome. I've been following her back in the Google Plus days. Peg Fitzpatrick has another great brand. Instagram, one of my favorite brands that I love to because they're genius storytellers, is Pixar. I love their Instagram. I love their Instagram stories. They did one time where they had an intern take us around Pixar, which was just fascinating behind the scenes stuff. And I thought that's the way you need to do it. And so those are some of just kind of the people and brands I follow. There's tons. I mean, like Promo's doing some really cool stuff over on Facebook where they have these graphics that kind of pop out at you. They're kind of doing some optical effects that make it look like it's 3D, but it's really not. So there's also, and Zach King, I mean, his stuff is always amazing. I saw one on Instagram today where he took the sun and threw it down and pulled it. His stuff is just brilliant. And so those are the people I think as marketers, we need to say, okay, we stopped for that. What made us stop? Was it funny? Was it, fascinating? Was it have some certain fact that like really popped out on us? And those three things I think are really important when you're trying to come up with ideas for like getting people to stop the scroll.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. So when you're working, at SME and you're trying to create powerful content, what do you do to make your content then stand out from the rest? There's so much social media noise, and there's more of it every single day. So what do you do to make sure that your content that you're creating stands out for you and the brands you work for?
I think for the brands I work for, it's got to be, like I said, those funny, fascinating, or some sort of fact that really comes out. Like, so Agora Pulse, your other show, Social Media Lab, that has facts and it's very high energy. They got some graphics going at the beginning. What you did at the beginning of this show, where you took the time to actually make a trailer with the actual guest and the host and blending that together, that's different than what a lot of shows do. I mean, there's some do, but most don't. And when you take the extra effort to go a little bit farther or make something a little humorous or really pop in some way or fashion, that's what people are stopping for. And so anytime somebody asks you, like if you do a really cool Instagram story or you do something, on Facebook and they go, how did you do that? That's what you want to focus on. When they ask you, how did you do that? That's a good indicator that, okay, I'm onto something. I probably need to tweak that, refine it, repackage it some way on a different network, because that is a great thing to hear in your feed when somebody goes, I really want you to teach me how to do that.
And I just have to, I'm sorry, there's amazing conversation going on behind the scenes. Scott Ayers says he stops the scroll when he sees Dustin Stout post his CrossFit photos.
Right.
I know. I think we all stop the scroll.
Well, I think Dustin needs to have an Instagram account for just his red V-neck is what I think is what would work really well.
Yeah. And if you guys don't follow Dustin Stout, do that immediately so you guys can actually see what exactly we're talking about and how awesome Dustin Stout is. So now, Jeff, let's think about where you actually create this content. So do you do a lot of work in Photoshop?
I do a lot of Photoshop work. I do a lot of stuff in all Adobe's products. I love finding new apps though as well. But yeah, Photoshop for visuals is, kind of the standard, that and Illustrator. You were talking about Dustin Stout. He is a master at that. He is really does some great stuff. Actually, I remember it was funny because I think Peg Fitzpatrick had to convince him to go on Pinterest. And I think that's one of his most popular platforms now. Where he gets a lot of traffic from, because he's always doing like the size guides where, what size you're supposed to do for social media graphics. And I know he uses Photoshop. I use Photoshop. I really like Light Tricks. They're the ones who did Facetune because I needed a lot to tune. But they have some other ones like Enlight. They have Video Story and Video Leap, which are really cool stuff to like enhance your stories with some like animations between the frames, which is really, really cool. So I like stuff like that where you can do it, really quickly. But then I also really like to use like Adobe After Effects, which is kind of the standard for motion graphics. Like when you're doing some really cool effects, or it's like Photoshop on layers is what it is. And I've been using that for years. And so those are kind of some powerful tools that I use.
Now, do you use, I know when you spoke at Digital First, you talked about some of the templates you use for Photoshop and other video templates. Where do you find those?
Yeah, so a lot of people, I remember it was like when Canva came out and some of the other like easel designers were all up in a roar like, oh, it's not real, it's not as good as what we do. And you know what, that's I understand where they're coming from, but they're so quick. And if you don't just do the standard and use that as a place to start, so your template or your end product doesn't look like everybody else's template they're grabbing from Canva, that's what you want to do. Use it as a starting place. But where I can find some really great templates to modify for Photoshop is places like creativemarket.com is where I really like to go. And there's another one called Mighty Deals, and I usually check out them. And they're really cool because they have a lot of free content that, like, say, you'll get on their email list and they'll have things for every Monday where you can go and download some free assets that you can use that are usually commercial free, that, I mean, you can use them for your like clients and things, which is really handy. Stock photos, it's like deposit photos. That's where I usually go to get all of my graphics, mainly because every couple times a year, AppSumo has this incredible deal where you can buy credits pretty cheap. And so I load up on those because I use them all the time for that. One little tip when you are doing getting photos that you're not taking yourself, and I have no problem with people using stock photos, but don't just flop it up on the screen. Like, resize it, make it bigger, crop it, zoom in on it, make it your own, and usually try to buy the biggest piece of artwork you can, because you can always scale it down, but you can't scale it up without pixelating. And so it just gives you a lot more options.
So, and I know you touched on this a little bit earlier in our conversation, but what kind of apps do you use kind of for photo effects and filters and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I'll pull up my phone right now and tell you.
Oh,
so one of the cool things I'm really into right now, Pinterest has done video pins, which is like, they're like, you can upload horizontal video on Pinterest, and vertical video, and it just really catches the eye because everybody's so used to seeing those static images on Pinterest. When you have a motion on a pin, it's kind of like those, I call them Harry Potter pins. Like when you would go into and watch on the newspapers, they would have that motion. That's what it is on Pinterest. So I'm really kind of diving into those. But the cool thing is, a lot of the apps that you can use to create Instagram stories with, you can use over on Pinterest, because they still work the same kind of file format. So a couple of my favorites that I like is In Stories has some really cool templates and motion templates on them. Story Boost that I mentioned is really, really cool. Poster Boost is another good one. Canvas Stories. I've been playing with Podcast Story Maker, which allows you to actually take a piece of podcast, create one of those kind of audiograms, and upload it as a story, which I think is really fun. And another one, I think Peg Fitzpatrick gave me this one. It's called Story Art. So it's those are kind of the ones that I've been playing with right now. And then I use Enlight, it's like Photoshop for your phone. I mean, about any Instagram photo I post usually goes through Enlight on my phone first, because it's just got some really cool stuff. And so those are kind of the top ones I use. If I use like photo, there's another one called Video Leap when I'm editing video. It's from the same people Light Tricks, who make Enlight. And so I love all their apps.
So what is your process, Jeff, for kind of making amazing photos, graphics, videos? Is it arduous? Is it a really long process? Or with these apps, once you kind of get the hang of it, it's really easy and it's worthwhile to take the time to learn all this and, find all the templates and make it happen?
I never took a real design class, and I feel like I really, like, I know Dustin is like a professional designer. And so I really have kudos for those type of people, because I just kind of bumbled my way through things, and I still have stuff that doesn't always work. But I think the more you can learn from design, the better off you'll be. And like, there's so many resources that I wish I had when I first started. I mean, Canva has their whole, like, they have a design school where you can go and actually just learn stuff like how to do typography, what works best, what fonts match with each other together. And so just kind of learn wherever you can on that kind of stuff. If you're like, this isn't working, one of the biggest things to learn is like terms. Like, once you figure out, like, what kerning means, well, you can Google how to make your kerning and change it. You want to learn the terms first, and then, because I forget stuff all the time, and I just go back in and how do I, animate a layer in Photoshop, and then oh, okay, I remember now. And so learning the terms is what's going to help you go the farthest, the fastest. And then always be collecting. And I talked about that in the conference we were at, is always go with being like, if you see something, take a picture of it and store it somewhere where you can go back and process it later. Like, I use Evernote to collect stuff. So I'll see, like, out on the town, I'll see a interesting font, or I'll see a weird color combination, or I'll hear a joke and I'll write that down going, oh, I can make a cool visual about that. So train yourself to always be collecting cool stuff that you could maybe repurpose later. And just one of the hacks that I use, like I mentioned deposit photos before, when I'm in there, the Social Media Examiner, they need a certain graphic. I'll go through there and like, oh, that's a really cool picture, but that's not what I'm looking for, but it would work for Kim Garst. So I have a Kim Garst folder where I'll drag that in there and save that for later. So what you want to do is, when everybody gets, their inspiration will run really, really dry. But having those folders that you've already kind of pre-done some of that work can really, like, oh, that photo would work for her project. You don't always start from ground zero. And so that's what I like to do.
And we've got, I love that. Those are, like, you have the most amazing tips ever. I just have to say that, Jeff. Like, literally, I took notes at Digital First. I'm going to be rewatching this again and taking more notes. And I want to give a shout out. We've got Jen Cole with us. We've got Evie. She's on the West Coast, Christine Gritman. And she says, ABC, always be collecting. This is so true, Christine. I'm always taking notes. I'm always writing down ideas and things that I see other people doing that's really exciting, and figure out how it works for us, how it works for our brand. So I love that, Jeff. These are amazing tips. And now what we're talking about what works and everything, I want to know, what's the biggest mistake you see people making when it comes to just basic images, graphics, and then videos? Like, you see something, you're like, oh man, only if they did this or did that. Like, what's the one thing or a couple things that you see that people are really missing that could elevate their content so much more?
So I think the biggest thing, I mean, we mentioned Canva and Easel before, and I use Easel all the time now. I just love their templates and their graphics they use. And the biggest, because it's easier than ever to create graphics and create them quickly. The biggest thing I see is that they'll see it, they'll go and pick a template out, like in Canva, and just change the text and put it up. And so on Pinterest, I'll be scrolling through and go, oh, there's a Canva pin. Oh, there's another Canva pin. Oh, there's another one. And it's like, you don't want to just go really quickly and throw it through. So what I suggest is, there's in Canva and Easel and most every kind of image creation tool, is you can like open multiple pages at the same time. And so you can start with one template, and then you can find another template that looks good and put that below. And then you can mix and match things. So you're, like I said, you're not starting from scratch, but you can mix things up and mix and match up different things and make it your own. And it takes a little bit more work, not a lot. And if you're doing that, man, that can you have your own piece of art when you're done that is totally yours. It's not a template, and it doesn't look like a template. And so that's, I think, the biggest thing is people get in a hurry. I understand solopreneurs, it's the last thing they need to do is create multiple sized images for multiple platforms. It's kind of tough, but taking that extra time to do that, and then getting in a habit, or hire somebody like Dustin Stout, who does a great job creating templates for clients, and have your own template that you can use for all your stuff. And so there's workarounds, but don't just use the bare minimum. Try to make it your own so it does stand out in the feed and stop the scroll.
And those are great tips. And the thing is, I think, and I understand the hustle. You're trying to get as much stuff done as you can, but when it looks like a template, and especially if you use stock photos, you're just like, I'm not a fan of stock photos at all, unless you absolutely need to use it and you use something that's like really engaging and doesn't look like it. So I love that because, you know, we have these amazing tools, and just if you spend a little bit more time tweaking and personalizing it, it can make it that much better. And a big shout out to Kelly Noble Mirabella, who just joined us. Hi, Kelly. And hi, everyone. If you have questions for Jeff, seriously, or Dustin, he's in the comments. Ask us those questions, because we're going to start wrapping up the interview section of this soon. And then we're going to start talking about some fun news as well. And there's Amanda Robinson. Amanda, I love you. You're amazing as well. So I want to know really quick, and you probably mentioned maybe some of these, Jeff, the apps you can't live without and the apps that you are willing to pay for.
That's a tough one. So
right?
You mentioned video before, and I want to just jump back. You know, what do I think companies kind of miss on video? And there's this really famous guy who wears a hat a lot, says, just press the button. That's kind of what you need to do. Yeah.
I think I'm familiar
you
with
may
it.
know him.
Yeah.
So but that is very true. And so there, especially on stories, is just getting in a habit of doing that. And you can spice it up with some cool apps later. So apps that I couldn't live without, you know, I could not live without the Adobe suite of products. I couldn't live without Agorapulse, because I do use their app, and it is it's very, we use, you know, and Jen and I even got up on stage at social media at the conference we were at and talked about how we use it for social media marketing world. I mean, social media examiner on Instagram, because it's a lifesaver being able to use that and schedule posts and have her approve them and write comments and throw them out. So that's one. All Adobe's suite of projects. Let's see what else. I think it would be some software that I could go live with, because I think that going live is one of the best ways where you can see your audience, you can interact with them, and you're not limited by distance or in a boardroom or whatever. And so I think that if more companies would get on the ball with that and have actual dialogue and do shows like this and answer questions and say, hey man, how you doing? I heard it was your birthday, you know, that kind of stuff is huge. And I think people are really scared of live video, but once you get past that, it's amazing the things that can open up for you.
No, and I couldn't agree more. And we have the amazing Hillary Lawrence with us. And that's what I love about live video too, because once you go live, you're literally live like across the world. Anybody in any country can, just about any country can join you. And, you know, you can have that two-way conversation. I just spoke at Internet Summit yesterday and was promoting live video too, just because it's so powerful just to get to know and engage and build a relationship with your fans and your followers and kind of cultivate that community. It's so powerful in that way. And so thank you everyone who's actually joining us right now. And okay, we've got Amanda Robinson, InDesign, Photoshop, Canva, Camtasia, Agorapulse. Can't live without those. I love all you guys. Keep us posted on, keep posting what apps you absolutely can't live without and what apps you have to pay for. And if you have any questions, please let us know. And so, Jeff, I have one more quick question, and then we're going to talk about some news with you together. And then we're going to start kind of wrapping up the show really quick. But what is your kind of prediction for 2020? What are you most focused on, or you think that companies really and brands need to be thinking about when it comes to content creation, strategy, all of that? I know that's a really open question of like, oh my God, it's multiple things. But what do you think that people need to remember in their strategy for 2020 so they're keeping up with everything in the latest?
You know, I love podcasts because they're so easy to digest when you're doing other things, and you can keep up with stuff. I mean, I spend so much time reading. That's my thing in the morning is I read, and then I go right to you know, sharing the stuff out on Agorapulse is just kind of the way I do it. But the more you can find good feeds that you can put in, where you can like use Feedly or even Apple News or something, and keep up on that kind of stuff. That's the biggest thing, because social media stuff changes any marketing stuff, it changes so fast. And I'm so thankful for shows like, you know, Social Pulse Weekly and listening to the experts that you guys bring on. I think that's what the best way to stay informed is because it changes so fast. It's really hard to keep up with it all.
And then really quick, because you're kind of like the Pinterest king, what tips do you have for Pinterest? Because I think a lot of people, they maybe don't have, they're concentrating on Pinterest for their core strategy, or they're like, oh, Pinterest is Pinterest. But what tips do you have for people and companies for Pinterest, and why is it so important to be on Pinterest, and what brands, I guess, should be on Pinterest?
Well, I think one time I said, I don't think that like a funeral home director would be great for Pinterest, and I got slammed with it because they were like, oh no, yes they can, they can actually do grief counseling and what they can do, and show some pins about that. So it was pretty amazing that I got slapped down. Yeah, so I think anything can to be on Pinterest. The biggest hurdle I think for people on Pinterest is that it's a different size, and it's like, oh my gosh, I got to create a tall image for Pinterest, and I think that's their biggest struggle. But once you can get past that, and some of the tips that I talked about earlier in the show, about how to maybe some resizing and making sure you're cropping and getting your sizes from like stock photo sites big enough, being able to do that, I think will go a long way. And just, you guys train yourself to, you're going to have to do one for Instagram. You're going to have to do one for Facebook and for your blog. You might as well do one for Pinterest, because the long-term effect on Pinterest traffic, has the longest shelf life of any of the platforms out there. I'm still getting traffic from pins when I first started, and I know Mike Alton does too. I know he's on there a lot. And so it just really is a big long-term traffic driver.
I love that. And you know what? I think a lot of people forget that too, or don't even know that. And once you know that, it's so powerful. And really quick, Eric Fisher, thank you so for joining us. His most important thing is curating the right RSS feeds, and alerts is a priority. So important. Couldn't agree more with that, Eric. And we do have a question for you from the incredible, amazing Dustin Stout. He is wondering, what is the current optimal size for Pinterest pins? Now, he's been using 1080 by 1920 because it's easy to repurpose for stories, but he's curious to know what you are using, Jeff.
So I still use Canva's kind of their template. It's like 735 by 1102, I think is what it is, which is fine. It's a 2:3 ratio. If you want to get the actual, and I think that's what Pinterest is recommending now. But if you go to like business.pinterest.com, they'll actually give you, some examples of what works. And the actual, I think that's the correct ratio that I just said, the 2:3 ratio. But that's what I use. I don't stress about it too much unless they tell me something really, really crazy. Square images, I've seen those work as well. And square video, they don't do as well, but you can use them if you're making something that really works good, that you think might on Instagram that might really work on Pinterest. It's worth trying. So, but I would stick with those tall type images. But if you go any taller than that, they will be cut off or truncated in the smart feed, which is Pinterest's main feed.
Yeah. Okay. That makes total sense. And if you guys have more questions about Pinterest, talk to Jeff. Jeff is amazing. And Dustin, thank you so much for the question. And we're going to get to some quick trivia really quick, Jeff. And Jeff, I'm curious if you know the answer. You probably know the answer. And you guys probably know the answer too, but I want to know, and you are not allowed to Google this, the godfather of Agora Pulse, Mike Alton, is secretly watching all of you to make sure that you're not cheating on this, because these are kind of some basic questions, but it's something, do you actually remember? So we're going to get to the first one. And Jeff, I still want to know if you know this, or at least the second one. Okay, so the first question is, and we're gonna pull it up right now. When did Pinterest launch? When did it start? And when you're answering these questions, we have two questions for you. When you answer them, do question 1 dash answer A, B, C, or D, whichever you think it is. And if you get both of them right, you'll be in the running for an incredible, amazing Agora Pulse mug or t-shirt. These are items that people are like really wanting. They message us all the time. You get the opportunity to potentially win that if you answer both these correct. So when did Pinterest start? Is it A, February 2009, B, September 2009, C, January 2010, or March 2010? I'm very curious to see who knows the answer. So Evie said B, she's thinking September 2009. And I actually, before the show, I was actually talking with the producer, Mike Alton, I'm like, you know what? I was actually kind of surprised by this. So we've got a lot of people answering B. January 2010, George said that. So there is a correct answer in what the people have, what you guys have already posted. I'm not going to say who or whoever is correct, but yeah, George says C. Abby says C. So yeah, there's a couple of you that are correct. So we're going to keep that going. So again, really quick, when did Pinterest start? And Jeff, do you know the answer to this? We're not going to, don't say the answer, but do you know?
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you do. And we're not going to actually give you the answer in the show. We're going to let this replay a little bit. And then, we'll find the winner in about 24 hours or so. And make
sure. Of course, then I know it. We're not going to say it. Of course, I know it all. I know it everything.
I know. Jeff knows everything.
Yeah,
Jeff knows everything. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, thank you guys. So, all right, this is the next question, guys. This is a little bit trickier. Okay. So we are wanting to know, when did Pinterest launch promoted pins? Think about this. When did Pinterest launch promoted pins? Was it A, May 2014, B, September 2014, C, January 2015, or D, June 15? And one thing, Jeff, really quick, is like, I forget how young all of this kind of is. Like, I feel like 2014 and 15 wasn't that long ago. And it's just kind of crazy to think how exponentially fast each individual social channel is growing, changing. I mean, it's nonstop.
Exactly.
It's so crazy. So remember, when you guys answer this question, answer question 2-A, B, C, D, whichever you think it is. So Jeff, do you think you know the answer to this?
This is a tougher one. I my friend Elisa Meredith, I call her the princess of promoted pins. She would know better than I would, but I have a guess, but I'm not going to say.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Ooh, that is a tough one. Don't Google it, guys. Someone did answer this correctly, though. I'm watching the answers come in. Someone did answer correctly. Again, you have to answer both questions correctly to be in the running to win an Agorapulse mug or t-shirt. So you guys are amazing. You guys are so awesome. Now, while they're still maybe thinking, not Googling, about what the answer is, let's get to some fun news. Now, I know you actually just talked about some different things on your earlier shows, but one thing I think is really cool is the Pinterest Academy. I feel like a lot of people don't really know exactly where to start when it comes to Pinterest, or they used Pinterest before. Like back in the day, Jeff, I think you'd probably be proud. When I was a local on-camera TV meteorologist, I used Pinterest for like fun weather themed things, right, forecast, all that kind of stuff, decorating tips. But the awesome thing about Academy, it helps you, give you like the right tips to succeed. And it's an e-learning tool designed for businesses that are new to Pinterest. And this is something that's so awesome that you should start looking into now, because we're already in the holiday seasons. It's already kind of late when you're thinking about, promoting a product for the holidays, but there still is time, and Pinterest is big, just like you said. So I think this is huge. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I think this is, it's really well done. I was really pleasantly surprised, because I thought when you hear like it's going to be like training, it's going to be like these video webinars, and they have some of those, but it actually, when you click on it, it's like interactive, where you can scroll and things change, and it comes up and it teaches you lessons, and it gives you, we talked about this on the Tailwind show, what is today? Thursday, and it's really well done. It's really, really great. And there is some Pinterest breaking news that we didn't even cover on Social Media Examiner's news, if you want me to share it with you.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, so they're requiring now Pinterest for you to use titles on Pinterest. It's brand new. It's rolling out. It's coming up right now. Tailwind was like the first ones to break it. Their tool actually you can edit those pin titles, but you're not going to be able to actually have any new pins without pin titles. And it's another place for Pinterest SEO. So you don't want to keyword stuff in that. You want to make it, make sense, but it is going to be very important to have really optimized Pinterest titles. Now, it's not worth going back and changing everything you've already done, because it doesn't really matter. But, and if you have some tools, they'll actually pull from the metadata, but it's huge news, because you can't even make a pin without having a title on it now.
Yeah, I love it. And thank you. Any other breaking news, Jeff? Just,
that's I'm all about Pinterest. So I just wanted to share that with your audience, because it is pretty big deal. So.
No, And I love that. And Anna just said she's awesome. She joins us just about every week, and she's such a big fan. She says, nice. I store a lot of great ideas there on Pinterest, yet I haven't built a lot of pins from scratch. So she's looking forward to the tutorial, and I'm sure all the advice that you gave, Jeff, and even utilizing Dustin too for his design.
And
both of you guys.
And his question, how does this affect social sharing tools? Yeah, Dustin, I was going to have to call you. I just haven't had time yet, because that is one of the questions that we got a lot of on Tailwind Show yesterday.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I want to be a part of that conversation, just FYI, Jeff.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, include me on that.
Sure.
And so another big thing that I think is kind of cool that Facebook is kind of using, or WhatsApp, they're introducing catalogs for small businesses. So I think this is huge. I like when they come out with things, obviously, to help people. So, people love, obviously talking on WhatsApp, and they can chat with their favorite small businesses. But what you've had to do is send individual photos, descriptions of any kind of merchandise or products do you have. But what the catalog allows you to do is just send them the catalog with everything, instead of having to go back with individual photos, which I think this is another powerful tool, especially for small businesses. This is incredible because it's so much easier, and it's going to take a lot less manpower to have these conversations, because you can kind of just share it with everyone. And I think this is another big deal, especially right before the holidays. I think it's going to be huge. I think it's really good. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm not a big WhatsApp user, but I think anything, like you said, to help with small businesses, and then we're kind of the minority here in the United States. A lot of other countries use this, so it's really cool that this is open to them to sell.
And so I'm curious to everyone that's watching, who uses WhatsApp a lot and actually has communicated with small businesses? I'm interested to see what is your opinion about this, and you think it's going to be that much more beneficial, because it is, I don't use WhatsApp nearly as much as maybe I should, but it's amazing how global it is and how big this is probably going to be for a lot of global businesses. So, and then the last kind of thing I kind of wanted to talk about is Facebook is coming out with Facebook Pay.
Yeah.
It's their own kind of version of Venmo. But I think a lot of people are concerned about this, especially with all the security and everything else. I don't know about you, Jeff, but I have, and I want to know from in the comments, I have never paid someone on Facebook, because you could do that, before, but I've just never done it because I've never felt secure. No matter what people say, I just don't. I use Venmo. I love Venmo, actually. But Facebook makes me nervous for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Even though like Venmo's kind of like a social app too, which is kind of, I think it is a little odd that you can see other people like, yay, paid you for dinner the other night. Like it's interesting, but I don't know if I'm ever going to use it. I know that sounds bad, but it makes me nervous.
Yeah. So we talked about this on the Friday show just a little bit ago. And one of the things, I asked my kids about, would they use this? And they like, well, we'd pay you at your nursing home because that's the only people on Facebook, Dad. And so, because we use Venmo too. And you're right. The only thing I don't like about Venmo is that if you don't go private, and I make sure it's always private because I don't want people seeing I'm paying my kids their, rent in college or whatever. I usually make it private, which is kind of nice. I wish they'd let you default to one or the other. But it's kind of like, it's the ship has already sailed for a lot of this. People use Venmo, PayPal. Now Apple Pay is really cool. I really like how that's working. Yeah. But a lot of the stuff, when I was doing some research about this, a lot of people think this is kind of like them because they got hammered so hard for their what is it, Libra, when they're trying to do their cryptocurrency, that this is maybe something to kind of like, let's see, test the waters a little bit. Yeah, we're still safe because you could send money. But, so I can see kind of that as well, that this can be like, what's going to happen here. They're doing a lot of things, they're changing their logos so that, I feel like they're going to try to get some of the good Instagram juice, because everybody kind of still likes Instagram and they forget that Facebook owns that. So I think they're kind of trying to siphon some of that good mojo or juju from, Instagram, and to make them kind of prop them up a little bit. So this is kind of the same kind of feeling. Hey, we can send money. We're okay. So
Yeah.
it makes me a little nervous too. I don't think I would, if you want to send me money on Facebook, any of you watching, I'll test it out all you want. So feel free to do that to my account. But
I may actually just do that. I'll give you $1. I'll give you
okay, yeah.
$5.
Now we could get 1,000 people to give me dollars. That would be even better. So I'm looking at you, Dustin, style. So
Yes. Well, you know what? And Dustin said like the amount of ways that people can send money is overwhelming. And he's like, did you know that you could send money through Gmail? Which is just crazy and makes me nervous. I like to keep it to like, okay, I'm gonna do Venmo and then maybe what's it called? There's another way through my bank that I can do it, but then that's it. Like I keep it
Right.
to that. And that's all I really use, and PayPal too.
Right.
Yeah, Anna said PayPal is useful, but it's just odd. And Amanda Robinson said, "Do we have Venmo in Canada?" That's a great question. I said
It's called Venmo A. That's what it is.
Venmo A.
Yeah.
I
Venmo
don't
A.
know if you have Venmo in
You have
Canada.
to add the A in the bot.
I mean, it would be the government preventing you from having it. So that's a great question, Amanda. We'll talk about this after the fact. If not, we can figure out how we exchange money.
Yeah. How do they do it in Canada? They like put it on an elk or something, and it travels through the town. I'm not really sure how that works.
Yeah, Zelle, Christine. I was thinking of Zelle. I use Zelle and Venmo. That is it. Thank you, Christine. And venmoa.ca. That's what Mike Alton just said.
He probably just went and bought it. Is probably what he did.
Yeah, actually, if you don't, you should probably buy it right now. Yeah, Amanda, we want to know now what you use or what people use to pay people, if it's PayPal or if it's something else. And Small Business MK said, I'm in the UK. We'll be using PayPal for payments through my Etsy UK shop. And will you share the link for your Etsy shop? I want to see what you create. I think that's
cool.
Yeah, I love Etsy.
Etsy's big on Pinterest. I mean, they're killing it over there. There's a lot of Etsy creators that are using Pinterest to drive traffic to their shop with great effect.
Yeah, and that's awesome. These are great tips. So continue the conversation. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about ads report really quick, and then we're going to wrap up, Jeff. This is really sad. So if you guys have a last minute question for Jeff, please mention it, post it right now. So ads report is a new amazing tool that we created, and it's free for you. So you don't have to pay for this at all. And I know Amanda Robinson has some experience using it, and obviously us at Agorapulse. But it's powerful in the fact that figuring out your ads metrics, and if you have an executive asking you, so how well did that particular ad do, it can be a little overwhelming and cumbersome. So what we created is an easy way to get a quick snapshot of how well your ads are doing. And it's so clean and crisp that you can actually just do a screenshot of it or save it and add it to a PowerPoint, or just attach it to an email to your executive so they have it. But it gives the most basic metrics that you really care about: the CTR, the clicks, CPC, CPM, impressions, all of that just quickly right there for you. So you only take a couple of minutes to check them out, rather than sometimes 15, 20 minutes if you're really trying to dig and figure things out. So we created this free tool for you so it can help you guys. And especially you're running a lot of Facebook ads during the holidays, or at least, we'll be doing some more ads. This is going to be extremely helpful. You just go to adsreport.agorapulse.com. Now, if you haven't already, we have our amazing Social Success Summit 2.0, which is really thrilling. We have over 25 experts and sessions, and they are available through December 12th. So all you have to do, it's free. And we wanted to help you guys. And this is I think the best of any type of conference, because it's like going to a conference, but watching everything at your own convenience on your couch, relaxed in your PJs, and you can stop and pause a talk if you're not going to be able to finish it, and then finish it later. I mean, it's the best of everything. And these are 27 speakers and sessions. I mean, even more than some conferences, and it's all free. All you have to do is go to agorapulse.heysummit.com, and you can watch whichever you want. And what I suggest, especially if you have a team of people, is you assign people different sessions for them to watch, take notes, and then you come together in a couple of weeks and discuss what you learned. I think that's the best way to do it, but you pick and choose. It's free, it's awesome and amazing. Guess what, Jeff? And there are sessions too. Oh, look at my bulletin.
So yeah. I've been following those people, a lot of those people for years. So this is really a super thing. I actually was in the Social Success Summit 1.0, and I screwed it all up, and so they had to do the 2.0.
No, you did not.
But
No.
this is, I mean, it's amazing the people they have on here. Phil is great. He's awesome, and so many of these people I follow. Rob from Thinkific. I mean, and even Scott with the funny hair. He's amazing as well. So I mean, yeah, if you haven't signed up for this, you need to go and do it before it all goes away.
And what I think is a good session is people don't realize kind of the legal things you have to be aware of when it comes to social media. And so we've got Mitch, his legal session is really powerful. He's got 10 tips that you really need to be aware of, because it's crazy. Even just a couple of like people that I know and in our industry have gotten sued or gotten letters from lawyers, and you're just like, what? I didn't even know that was an issue. So there's that and just so much more. And basically it was, the first one was so successful because of your session, Jeff, and so many people watched it that we're like, geez, we're going to have to try and figure out a way to top Jeff's one session.
Yeah, that was the problem.
That's exactly what our problem was.
Uh-huh.
So yes. And so for all of you out there, so we're global. We are also having a French Social Success Summit. So if you speak French, you're in France or somewhere around the world, we're having that. That is actually live December 4th and 5th. So if you know of anyone in France or speaks French, only French, and would be really interested in it, we've got some big names over there that are joining us, some influencers, and it's going to be really exciting and powerful, just like our Social Success Summit, but it's live. It's 2 days, December 4th and 5th, and they can register at whatsupsocial.fr. So this is going to be just another tool. And the thing is, this is all free. So we realize that, being a social media manager or a specialist can be really cumbersome, and we're trying to make your lives easier. Oh, Kelly said fun. I know. And what's exciting is, like, I think I'm going to learn French now, because we are, like, our main office and our only office is in Paris. And so what people don't know is, like, the majority of our team speaks French. And then you have us that, are in the US and speak English, but they also speak English as well. But it's one of those things that, like, I want to start learning French so I can communicate more,
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of fun and everything like that. But I want to thank you, Jeff, so much for joining us. And let's see, I'm going to check the comments one more time, make sure we don't have questions. Kelly said, isn't French the language of love? Yes.
It is, really. I was looking at that graphic, and even their word for December looks so much better than ours. Ours looks brutish, and theirs looks pretty and festive.
I know. We should just all go over there sometime.
I know. I'm all for
I know,
that.
during the holidays, it's magical.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us and just sharing all the tools, tips, because you're so insightful. And how can people share with us how people can get in touch with you, listen to your amazingness just every day and every week?
Every day may be a little too much, but they can find me everywhere at Jeff Sieh, and that's S as in Sam, IEH, so it's I before E, especially in C. And at manlypinteresttips.com, where we're always adding testosterone one pin at a time.
Oh my God, I love that. And then we have our show sponsor, the amazing Dustin Stout. Hashtag hire Dustin to design everything you could ever imagine, along with Jeff. But Dustin, post in the comments the best way that people can reach out to you and get, if they want to hire you for anything, they can follow you. Post that in our comments so we can share that as well. And our guest next week is the amazing Ann Hanley. We're so excited to have her. She's so busy, always speaking around the world, but she's joining us. She's going to be wearing her famous turkey hat. And we don't have a Thanksgiving show or the day after Thanksgiving. So this will be our last show of November, but please join us. It's going to be really exciting. And then Dustin just said, follow all the Jeff Sieh. Yes, this is true. This is true. And also follow Dustin as well. These two, Jeff and Dustin, are two of the most hilarious, awesome, most genuine, kind human beings you will ever meet in your life. If you are attending a conference with them there speaking, make sure you go up and talk to them, but interact with them on social. Dustin just shared his blog, dustinstout.com. Anything Dustin is great. He posts his gym photos and and all sorts of other tips and everything else. But thank you guys so much for joining us, taking time out of your Friday to be here with us. We hope you have a wonderful weekend and a great week ahead. And hopefully you guys can join us next Friday. And thank you so much. Bye.